She had been driving for almost an hour when she heard the siren behind her. That's not what she needed. Why did it have to be this one? She felt her heart rate increase like that of an Olympic swimmer. She thought about all the events that had led to this point. But what would happen next would make her reach for her phone. When Sasha got into her car that morning, she had no idea she would be in contact with the police. It's been a difficult year, and a police stop would be the icing on the cake for them. As she saw the flickering siren, she knew nothing would ever be the same again. Sasha Jackson had gone to Atlanta to get an interview at a potential new company. It had been a tough year so far, as an unemployed student and mother. Life never seemed easy for Sasha, especially when the world went into global lockdown. This meant she was forced to do something she would normally never have thought of doing. Sasha worked as a bank teller, but also as a mother. She was also working on her master's degree. Her greatest happiness was her 8-year-old boy, Jordan. But when she was fired from work, her life was thrown into turmoil. Her loans piled up and she had to support her son. She was job hunting for months. She had even moved in with her mother, because she could no longer pay the rent. She was about to give up when she received a phone call that would change everything. There was a job at a media house, which meant she could afford her expenses. She managed to get an interview with the company within a week. But in what seemed like hours, the day had come. She woke up early, made herself a cup of coffee, and ran out the door. Her mother babysat her son while she went to the interview. But soon she would be stared down by a policeman. After an hour of driving, Sasha was enjoying her favorite podcast with her headphones. She felt ready for the interview. The street was empty of traffic, and she knew she would be early for her interview, just as she liked. But then something happened that she never expected. Something that would change her life. Sasha saw a siren go off in her rearview mirror. She assumed the police car would overtake her. But then she realized it was just her and the squad car on the street. Sasha's head started spinning as she felt her heart start pounding in her chest. Her hands started shaking as she stopped. The cop got out of his cruiser, and all she could think of was hope. Sasha was a humble and hardworking driver. She never sped and never skipped a traffic light. So why was she in this situation? She made sure to have her ID book, driver's license, and registration ready. Her hands continued to tremble as the officer went to her window and knocked on the pane. The officer looked like he had an imperious presence. Sasha slowly rolled down her window. Then the officer's stony gaze turned to a smile. Sasha nervously smiled and gave him all the documents he needed. But she could never have anticipated what the officer would say to her next. "Don't worry about pulling something out," the policeman said. Then he stepped away from the window to the back of Sasha's car. After staring at Sasha's car for about a minute, the officer went to his squad car to shout something and then returned to Sasha's window. "What happened?" "I know you're wondering what's going on," he said to Sasha, still smiling. "I stopped you to tell you your brake lights weren't working." Sasha's heart sank when police told her why he pulled her over. She had never driven a broken car in her entire life. She had always made sure that her car was road legal. But as she contemplated the consequences that awaited her, her fear quickly turned to burning anger. Sasha's fear turned to anger as she remembered having had the car checked just a month ago. She had the brake lights replaced, and the company that had serviced the vehicle charged her $600 for the service. Sasha quickly explained everything to the officer and revealed how she was forced to draw on her savings to ensure her car was still in good condition to avoid such incidents. But she didn't stop there. Sasha announced that she was unemployed and was kicked out of her apartment. She also told the officer she was on her way to a job interview that would change her life. She didn't know why she opened up like that and was surprised to see him listening intently. What he did next is hard to believe. Instead of giving Sasha a ticket, the officer asked her to get out of the vehicle so he could inspect it. He opened the trunk and fiddled with the wires until the brake lights came on. He told Sasha the car was fine now and wished her luck at the interview. Sasha couldn't believe it. She recorded the entire encounter, knowing that such magical moments needed to be frozen in time forever.